Hi, everybody. Sunday here at the Oracles, January 2025. And if you watch the latest video, it's the beginning of a project that I'm going to be focusing on and working on in the future. So that's kind of where my creativity is taking me, and taking this is into this epic narration, which I'll be playing around with and editing and exploring for the foreseeable future. So that will kind of be the content that you can expect. But I also don't necessarily want to leave you completely hanging on the guidance part here, because that's of course a big part of what the channeling is about, and why people seek it out is also this sense of guidance, direction, perspective, consolation, and all those things are very good, well, and true. But we of course exist within a balance, and one of the things that were really underscored to me in 2024 was also the importance of our environment, and the shifting relationship that humanity has to this. So consider that you are also a part of a shared, a wider reality in a lot of ways. And if you're experiencing negative attacks or adverse energies, so like you're feeling stuck, it can very often be at levels that are more unpleasant to engage with or look at than the spiritual dimensions, because the spiritual dimensions are also open, fun, and fancy free often, and that's why we like them. But that's also often the unbalance that catapults a lot of us into seeking those spaces, is because they seem a lot more appealing than the painful dissonance of the world at large. And of course, if you were really well adjusted, or that world suited you very well, there wouldn't be the inclination necessarily to seek these things out. So just the fact that we are engaging with spirituality might already bring us into a type of imbalance. And and what I'm pointing to here is that you are, of course, also born into a lot of karmas, these sanskaras, these patterns of basically trauma restriction, um, which are sort of seated and lodged in your body, in your also in your soul, or your incarnation, or your higher self, as it moves through these experiences. And these are actually what it's trying to get rid of. And and that's to say that, you can seek out a lot of this stuff, and commune with angels and everything, and still get, as I have been for a long while, and now I'm not anymore, but you can still get stuck in like a physical environment, which is actually torturing you and bending you out of shape in a lot of ways. And that needs to be addressed at the practical level, and it can very often be family relationships, and sort of the spiritual traditions that I most adhere to or take from are often these ascetic traditions, which also seek to break with the world. So things like Taoism, Buddhism, Jainism, Christianity, in its sort of more austere shape. But these traditions all kind of maintain that the world is also a place which bars you from relating truthfully to absolute reality, and from liberation. And so that is something to consider. And even if your family is not necessarily very present in your life, a lot of emotions which may seem like actually very good natured impulses, but like guilt shame, um, of like um, was that inflated senses of responsibility or something similar can actually be emotions which are very, very detrimental for you restoring your nervous system to a place where it can heal and reshape itself. And then there is, of course, also the reality that that's very evident within what's called ideological criticism. But this idea that there's always false narrative going around from entrenched power, and that's the oldest dynamic in history. That's the money classes, or the classes in power are trying to convey narratives to people who are not in power as to why that's a fair setup. And that's something that's really, really rampant, which also makes it very hard to kind of strike a balance of communication, because it requires a set of shared assumptions. And it's difficult for me coming across a lot of these kind of abundance mindsets, which of course is not abundance, because abundance would be that there's enough to go around for everybody, whereas like the need to think that, oh, there will be more than enough for me personally is actually like an ambition of hoarding, and hoarding is an ambition of fear, because it's the fear of running out. So a lot of these ways that we're being asked to readjust our moral compass for the 5D is to relate to a lot of these open energy flows, which means that there will be resources enough, and that's in whatever way you navigate it, something like universal basic income, or how we're going to set it up, but that there will be a way to provide for the basic needs of people at large without them having to struggle for an ever dwindling piece of the pie for the bottom part of the global poor. So that is kind of a way where we're being asked to share again. Another way is, you'll notice again these shifting configurations of sexual morality. So polygamy was actually part of the course in the 3D, and then we came into monogamy, and now there's this move towards polyamory, and which is whatever way it kind of takes for people temperamentally, but which underscores the idea that the value of sexuality is essentially in sincerity. So it's as long as people are open and there's consent, then anything goes, and as long as there's deception, then it is a kind of uh, it's a kind of sin in a 5D perspective, right? Like as soon as you're deceiving something, then that's of course also a kind of block of this energy. And that's why what we're also seeing is that when energies get trapped into these circuits, meaning when, for instance, greed or hoarding or these instincts, you'll see that it's blowing up in people's faces. So when you can't let go of what no longer serves you, um, it's going to turn into a kind of dysfunctional or corrupt circuitry, which will burst and discharge the energy that's stuck within it. But what we're all being asked to do is, of course, to cultivate ourselves in order to participate in this kind of collective awakening, and that's very much also determined by our relationship to the constants, the elements of reality. So something like the well-being of the earth itself, something like the well-being of the community, and and the well-being of what is actually accessible and valuable, and that's where our attention is very well placed. It's in how things are resonating with us at a somatic, at a bodily, at an emotional level, because it's these higher emotional instincts which will carry us to where we need to go. Um, so I think like what I'm saying here is also in response, of course, to kind of the global craziness, but also because I feel that through the years and a lot of the spiritual constellation which has been moving through me and going out to people in the live streams, but they may feel that life is not necessarily delivering on the the angelic promises, and that's to say that there is a balance, and I've kind of like found this in the hard way myself also, that the balance of grounding these things and not escaping into them is often one of moving in the opposite direction of where we're actually inclined to go. And that at the moment is very social. It's very much in kind of also recognizing uh, our uh, status, constitution as a part of life at large and as a part of people at large. So if you kind of are in a place where um, energies are unpleasant, you can do all you want spiritually, and that can be very, very well to kind of help you cope with that. But the goal should still be to change that situation in whatever way is possible for you. Um, and just like to make it more practical, I seem to remember that my father's latest wife or girlfriend or what she is began kind of struggling with depression and burnout when he met her. And I think part of that might be getting the wet blanket that is my father into her life. But another part was also that she was working at Novo Nordisk, which is a big medical pharmaceutical company in Denmark. And of course, like if what you're doing is also showing up for a kind of global conspiracy to exploit sick people for profit, then you might find that, well, your workplace is nice and there's a good cafeteria and you actually like your coworkers and everything. But energetically, what you're doing or what you're participating in is something that's bad for your soul, and you being bought off for that with sort of like the pleasures of like late stage capitalism, blind consumption, right? So like trips to Cuba and smallish nice house and a car and meat on your plate most days of the week, and those things which are of course like the dreams of affluence that the past had, but which are also bad spiritually, because they're essentially also just ways of treating or feeding instincts which are no longer suitable for humanity in these new energies of overflow. So I hope that was a perspective. I hope that was meaningful, and I hope that was kind of an encouragement to move in a direction that you feel is helpful, and to also say that if you're seeing a lot less of me, I hope you'll be enjoying a lot of the channeling that I'm about to do and share. Um, so with that, I think I'll step aside and let Metatron talk for a while on this issue of kind of false awareness of identifying where your issues lay. Um, and with that, I send you lots of love, guys. The Archangel Metatron speaks, greeting you, blessing you, and thanking you for this link which is established and shared in this moment. And consider yourself a part of this intricate lattice of connections. So, what we are sharing here is perceived in human terms mostly as a vertical axis of connection. This information which I am imparting on you and the energies that I am extending to you, they are descending from above and into your reality. Consider also then within you, there are different layers, bodies, parts, constitutions, which all seek to be held and connected in this one unity. But what is missing here? It is the importance of the horizontal axis. And this is what our friend here is feeling and what he is attempting to convey, and what he feels he has been struggling with is the restriction, the straitjacket that the horizontal plane can feel like. And what he was addressing was this sensation then, that it is this restriction which forces your energy up into an ascension, into this forced striving out of this plane to transcend and never to return. And there you find the pearly gates barred again and again and again. We ask you to return, to go back, to do your work. And with that, to try to find your peace with the world and with the parts of you which you have not yet taken in. And this is the migration of souls, where you are circling this great minaret of ascent, this spiral staircase, this cigarette, this temple of uplifting energy, by basing yourself in horizontal connection, in the foundation, which is so important. And your foundations have become shattered in recent generations. This was the price you paid for your temporary mastery of the elements. But see, nature adores a challenge, and so you will find that the elements simply ramp up their intensity as you try to shield yourself from them. And so the price you paid for trying to stay in this static reality, in these clean, square rooms of orderly disconnection. The price you paid was anxiety and fear. So you will find the more you expose yourself to reality, the more this is reduced. You will also find that the more you allow yourself to disengage from what is dissonant, what is stirring, and by stirring, we mean what seems to call for more of the same, what seems to activate a type of bottomless process of excitation. The more you step away from this, the more you will find that this sense of connectivity internally is also matched by horizontal, that is, social connection. And this connection too is of a sacred character because you have the elements, all of you. You have unique parts which you contain, which complement and alchemize the parts which other people hold. And this is why you find yourself funneling through connection and experience, trying to find the people who match this. But so often, this duty is one which is so painful that you will try to put away this light and replace it with a replica, with something which is already ready made, stereotyped. And so you will find that anything which has only a serial quality to it is worth dismissing. So, what you're looking for is the signature of unique being, because this is how universal being is lived, is felt, is experienced, and is released into the healthy flow of energy, the torrent that is existence. This is done by seeing the unique resonance which is present in everything. And resonance is different from dissonance. So there is a signature which you must discern, and with that you must also learn that the age of the martyrs has passed for now. So you must see that taking on massive amounts of negative energy and giving away positive energy is not something which will earn you merits or results or even spiritual rewards anymore. Rather, your assignment, responsibility, call, prerogative, this is what we are commanding you to do. You must learn to discern what is living from what is dead, and know that life shall serve life, and the dead shall not take life to feed themselves. This is a law of energy which requires you to learn to hold your own light and to accumulate it and to not give it off. And so many of you find this light searing, and so you give it away and you surrender yourself to this martyrdom, allowing yourself to be consumed for the sake of the hope of infinite love. And infinite love has you, it holds you, and has already found you. But it asks you to also hold it back, to appreciate it, to guard it, to grow it, and to let it shine. And these are the instructions from heaven that I, Metatron, Grand Architect among the Archangels, that I extend to you. With all of our love, we bless you and depart this day. I hope that resonated, guys. Much love to you out there.